The Celtics reportedly pursued Giannis at the trade deadline, and Bob Manning, who's a local Boston reporter, reports that the Celtics have interest in making a trade for Giannis, with Jaylen Brown as the center of the deal, as the situation could speed up quickly. Okay, Ashley Neville. Is Boston the front runner for Giannis Antetokounmpo? And if you were Boston, would you go down this road?
So I've been drafting up some potential trades here. Now, if I'm the Bucks, for example, the reason there hasn't been a trade yet is because they haven't found enough value to get rid of Giannis. Now, do I think a Jaylen Brown Giannis trade straight up is worth it for the Bucks? No, I don't. I don't at all. I think, and also the Warriors, what do the Warriors have to offer right now? And if I'm Giannis, do I want to go to Golden State to play with Steph Curry? You don't know what their roster is going to look like next year because there's a couple guys in potential free agency. They also haven't been, Steph is getting older and he's been getting injured more. So now you've got Giannis and Steph who've been dealing with injuries. So I don't really know what the future holds for the Warriors either. You guys are going to think what I'm about to say is ridiculous and it might break basketball, but I think OKC has the best potential package to try to get Giannis because they have 100%. So many players that they can offer for the Bucks. Now imagine a team like OKC that already has so many shooters. They have elite ball movement, spacing, the pace. Now you put SGA, who's a guy that knows how to get to his spots. He thrives in the mid-range. But then you got a guy like Giannis, who's super athletic, who could get to the cup, the dunks, open lanes. Also, he could dish it out to guys in the corner. I think this makes the most sense. I would like to see Giannis go to OKC. I think OKC has enough assets in terms of draft picks, in terms of guys right now who are getting paid like $3 million off the bench. You got a guy like AJ Mitchell. You got Jared McCain. But also they can offer Jalen Williams in that package. They can offer multiple draft picks. So I think we're focused on the wrong teams here, where I don't think the Celtics have enough for Giannis. I don't think the Warriors have enough for Giannis. And Giannis wants to win right now. And I think the best place for him is in Oklahoma City to do that.
Outstanding work. Outstanding work. Let's stay in LA. I want to bring AM Pfeffer in here. AM, is Boston the front runner for Giannis, and should Boston go down this road?
We know where AM is going. Come on.
Oh, that's right. Going south of Milwaukee, right? They're just straight south of Milwaukee.
Internally, you think you know where I'm going, but what we're about to say here, I'm not even going to mention my side piece in this piece. The Bulls will not be spoken about, guys. Let's just go to Vegas. I always do. You ask a question like this, my mind immediately goes, well, what are the actual odds? And the odds are favorably for Milwaukee, that he stays in Milwaukee. That's actually the front runner to land Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Boston is not number 2, just so you know. The Miami Heat are just behind him staying in Milwaukee. They're really the front runner. And I know, but they are really the front runner. Then it's Boston, and there's actually this third team behind them before the odds drop significantly. And no, it's not, again, my Chicago Bulls. It is the Dallas Mavericks. Ooh. And the Mavericks, to me, are interesting. And I love what you said about Oklahoma City, but the Mavericks are really an interesting team for him to land on. And I just kind of want to unpack it a little bit. And I like I like that maybe over the next week or two, we're talking a lot more about them as the destination. They've got a lot of interesting pieces that Milwaukee might want back because, again, we've spoken about this. I've spoken about this ad nauseum at this point, that Milwaukee needs to really pontoon themselves. But they can get non-expensive or inexpensive grizzled veterans plus the draft picks, and they need these assets. So at least you're building out a team and you got what goes on. Look, Derek Lively is still a young guy. You got to add up a lot of contracts here, right? Giannis is making $58.5 million next year. So the money has to match, or you got to use an exception, a trade exception as part of this. But you got to get close enough to $50 million so you're not killing your cap if you're Dallas. Well, unfortunately for them, Chris Middleton's $34 million is off the books because he's an unrestricted free agent right now. But you got Klay Thompson, who's only got 1 year left. that is an asset that Milwaukee might want because he's getting off the books. Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, who's on a team-friendly deal, and he's still only 27 years old for the next 4 years. You start adding up these numbers, and you might add up to Giannis. There are some big names. Now, obviously, if you're Dallas, you want to keep Kyrie, you want to keep Coop Flag. It's not even a question. And suddenly you've got Giannis down there, and you're filling out a lot of other pieces because you got off Anthony Davis. You have a ton of cap space. You start playing the game. So they really do become an interesting team to talk about. I don't know if they're going to rise up. But no, to answer your question, Rick, Boston's not the front runner. They do make sense. Obviously, I think a lot of us like to think about, Tatum and Giannis and a rejuvenated Derek White and some of the other pieces that are on there, and Mazzulla, coaching these guys up and see what they become, because, Boston has evolved so much over the past couple of years. They're a fascinating team, and I love how we're all gravitating towards them. But I really like this Dallas thing floating around. All of a sudden, Cooper Flag's timeline just shoots up. He could be a real superstar by year 2. Pair him with Giannis. Let's see where this goes.
What? Wow. We get a little Dallas. We get a little OKC. Dwight was nodding as Ashley was talking. We did not go down. I don't know what the main drag is in Chicago, but we didn't go down. We didn't go to the Windy City right there. I was a little surprised by that. Dwight Walton.
Me too.
Is Boston the front runner for Giannis? And should Boston go down this road?
So, from my understanding, the criteria that the Milwaukee Bucks want in return is a young superstar and some draft capital in return for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, my question to the panel, do we consider Jaylen Brown to be a young superstar? Yes or no?
Yes.
I would still consider him a young super. And Dwight, before you continue, and I apologize, and I don't mean to take this, but you brought up such a good point, and I did such a poor job of adding in the draft capital, which again is this year Dallas, their 9th pick, so obviously Milwaukee would have 9 and 10. They'd give away the 30th pick, which they took from Oklahoma City. They have the 46th pick in the second round, so all of that just comes this year. Dallas doesn't own their own next year's pick, but we all know the rule in the NBA. They got to go to the following year anyway. Of course, another number 1 would go to Milwaukee after that. But does Boston, do they have the opportunity to offer Milwaukee the same thing right now with the top 10 pick right now? Again, that was a big reason why I like Dallas. The idea, it's like they're sitting there right now at number 9. That might entice Milwaukee. Dwight, please continue. But yes, to answer your question, Jaylen Brown's still on the youngest side for superstar. He's at least right in the middle of his apex as a superstar for age. He's young enough.
Oh, okay. And the Celtics may not have the overall draft capital, but to me, I'm not sure if I consider Jaylen Brown to be a young superstar. What is he, 28 years old? 29? And he's had some knee issues? Is that how old he
29.
is currently? 29? So does he fit the criteria that the Bucks are looking for? I'm not sure he does at this moment. I understand. Listen, there's a lot of strange things happening in Boston, specifically with Jaylen Brown. Is he trying to angle himself out of Boston? It certainly sounds like it. And there's a lot more smoke being added to this fire, even more so than the comments that he made initially after the Celtics lost. There's even more stuff coming out right now. It seems to me that Jaylen Brown is angling himself out of Boston. So Milwaukee seems to be the obvious answer in terms of the front runner. But I too have heard the same rumors in regards to the Dallas Mavericks. And to Ashley's point, I floated her idea back at the trade deadline with Isaiah Hartenstein probably being on the move going forward. Luguentz Dort probably being on the move going forward. But with the way I understand Sam Presti operating, I think he likes more numbers in terms of depth than actually bringing in a superstar or a co-host to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's superstardom right now. I think he's extremely comfortable with the fact that the Thunder are still overwhelming favorites, although their alleged second best player in Jalen Williams isn't playing. I believe their record right now, if you include the playoffs, is either 64 or 65-10 without Jaylen Williams. And the emergence of a second round pick who's making $3.8 million this season in AJ Mitchell is making life even more easier for Sam Presti to lean on the depth quotient. So I'm not so sure if Presti would make a move for Antetokounmpo and give up some of that young depth. That young depth is the reason as to why San Antonio Spurs, notwithstanding, their depth is why they overwhelm teams. In some cases, their defense gets better when their second unit comes in. And then when Jaylen Williams is actually healthy, you slot AJ Mitchell down to the second unit. If he's already cooking first units, what is he going to do against second units? So I don't think Giannis going to Oklahoma City is in the cards. So to go back to the original question, I think he stays in Milwaukee. I think they're the front runner, with the Boston Celtics being a distant second, because if you consider Jaylen Brown to be that superstar or quote unquote young superstar, that's where the Bucks will want to start. Depending on who they draft in the lottery, that may entice Giannis to want to stay. They're going to get a good player at his position. I'm seeing some, you guys know how high I am on Yaxel Lundenberg. They have him going 12th to the Bucks. If he's available for the Bucks before the Thunder, they better draft him to keep him away from Oklahoma City. And that may entice Giannis to say, you know what? I might have a young LeBron on my team. I'm going to stick around and play with him. I'm not comparing him to LeBron, but to be 6'8", 260, to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot, and to be able to guard at the very least positions 1 through 4, I wouldn't mind playing with the Yaxel Lundenberg if I'm Giannis Antetokounmpo.
He's 6 on my board. I think I do not understand mocking or rating Lundenberg at 11 or 12. And I don't know. There's a guy in every draft, but I loved Matus Buzelis in his draft. And he went like 11th or something. I'm like, this is a top 5 talent. Arturas Karnisovas actually nailed that one. So many other mistakes, but he hit a home run with that. All right, my turn. Yes, Boston is the front runner for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I never thought I would see this or have to say this, but Las Vegas and the odds makers out there, AM, they have fallen for the proverbial banana in the tailpipe. The Heat? The Heat? The Heat. Bro, every single big name in the history of the Miami Heat. Dude, they never go there. They never go there. Tyler Hero, self-made, team guy. Bam Adebayo, team guy. Who are the other guy? Norman Powell, stud. Spo benched him, right? I mean, what are you doing, dude? Right? And they cobble together all these other guys. The island of misfit toys is the damn Miami Heat, okay? Andrew Wiggins and, it's just such a joke. But Giannis, Miami Heat are, no, they're not. No, they're Vegas. You got caught with the banana in the tailpipe. Miami never does anything, okay? It's so crazy. But the Celtics are going to make a mistake this offseason. The Celtics are going to trade Jaylen Brown to Milwaukee for Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's a mistake. I would not break up the Jays. I don't care if Jaylen Brown wants his own team or not. I want him on my team, okay? So, and I'm going to cajole it and make him feel great about it. And do you guys remember? When Kobe Bryant went to Mitch Kupchak? You guys remember that? Kobe Bryant wanted to get a trade out of LA. You guys remember that? Mm-hmm. Mitch Kupchak said, no, I'm not doing that. Once upon a time, remember Philadelphia considered trading Allen Iverson, right? Ultimately, this is, nah, we ain't trading the answer. Okay. Boom. History and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes the best trades are the ones you don't make. And I would not do this but I think they're going to. Okay. And Jaylen Brown wants his own team. He's shown that he's worthy and deserving of his own team. Okay. Even if it's a mid one in Milwaukee. And could he, sort of breathe life into them and get them higher? Maybe. I don't know. He's a hell of a player. Boston is hell-bent on another ring. And so they may, if the Tracy McGrady stuff about frustration is really true, maybe they're at a point of a divorce. I don't know. Is it really that bad? It seems kind of hard to believe that it's really that bad. Okay. But there's a 2-year age difference here. That's not a huge deal. You guys know I'm obsessed with that. That's why I'm not trading Alpi Şengün for Giannis. I'm just not. I'm not giving up like 7 years or something. If Alpi's like 24 and Giannis is 31, hell no. I'm not. Who's better? Giannis, duh. I'm not giving up 7 years, bro. I'm not. And I'm an Alpi guy. I know. Oh, he sucks. He can't play D-by. All this stuff. I get it. Alpi Şengün, to me, is the second coming of Pau Gasol. I heard a lot of the same BS about Pau Gasol. He sucked. Boom, boom. He got 2 rings, okay? Pau Gasol was not soft. He was finesse. Big difference, okay? So also, ask yourself, who's a more effective basketball player right now? Who is a more reliable basketball player right now? Giannis or Jaylen Brown? Reliable, it's not debatable. Jaylen Brown's way more reliable than Giannis. Giannis has become entirely unreliable, okay? Who's the better player, the more effective player? It's debatable.